Welcome to Byte-Sized Tech, where we blend casual conversations with insightful discussions on the latest in technology and gadgets.
Glad to be here.
Today, we're diving into some pretty surprising stuff that's popped up recently in tech and cybersecurity. Kind of a mixed bag, actually.
Yeah, definitely a few different threads crossing over. Should be interesting to unpack.
All right, let's kick off with this Oracle situation. So, beginning of April, things started bubbling up about a potential, pretty big data breach over at Oracle Cloud.
Right, it started with a post on Breach Forum, I believe. User rows 87168.
Yeah, that's the one. Claiming they got credentials for something like 6 million users using old vulnerabilities, old CVEs.
Which is, a huge claim. And Oracle's immediate response was pretty strong.
Oh, yeah. They came out swinging, basically saying, nope, no breach here, a flat denial.
But as these things often go, the story developed a bit. Took about 2 weeks of chatter, maybe.
And then Oracle adjusted their stance. They admitted, okay, there was a breach, but only of Oracle Cloud Classic.
Right, they drew a very clear line, saying, this older sort of legacy platform was affected, but not their main offering.
Exactly. Not the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, or OCI, as they call it.
And the latest we're hearing, based on the sources, is that Oracle apparently did reach out to a couple of their big customers around April 7th about it.
So, confirms something happened, even if they're downplaying it. Their line seems to be still that OCI is fine.
Yeah, they're sticking to that, saying it was unauthorized access to just two obsolete servers, their word, and crucially, not part of OCI.
Okay, obsolete servers. But what about the user data? The credentials?
Well, their argument there is that any passwords on those old servers weren't actually usable. They were encrypted or hashed.
Just scrambled, basically. Meaning even if someone got the files, they couldn't just log into customer accounts or access data. That's the claim?
That's the claim. No access to customer environments or data.
Which, if true, significantly lowers the impact. But it's interesting, isn't it? We haven't seen an official 8K filing with the SEC about a material breach, have we?
No, not as of the time our sources were compiled. And that's usually required if something happens that could seriously impact the company financially or, reputationally.
So either Oracle genuinely thinks this wasn't material, or maybe the full picture is still emerging.
Could be either. It's definitely one to keep watching. Trust and transparency with cloud providers is just so vital.
Okay, let's shift gears. AI. It's obviously changing everything, and now we're even getting new terminology for the ways it can be misused. First up, vibe scamming.
Yeah, sounds a bit out there. It's a term from Guardio Labs.
What does it actually mean?
It's essentially using AI to quickly generate phishing sites, scam tools, that kind of thing. The vibe part refers to how AI can potentially make these scams feel more convincing, more tailored, maybe.
So making scams faster to create and potentially more effective.
Exactly. And Guardio Labs even set up what they call a vibe scamming benchmark.
A benchmark for scams. Okay.
Yeah, to measure how easy it is for different AI models to create these scam pages, how hard it is to host them, and whether they can build in ways to, evade detection.
Right. Testing the threat level? Did they test specific AIs?
They did. They looked at ChatGPT, Claude, and another one called Lovable.
And how did they do?
Well, interestingly, ChatGPT and Claude apparently hesitated at first. They needed some extra prompting, some jailbreaking maybe, to actually generate the phishing page. Suggests some safety filters are working, at least initially.
And they did eventually create them.
Yes, with follow-up prompts. Lovable, however, reportedly just went ahead and created the page straight away. No hesitation. Guardio ranked it worst in their test because of that.
Concerning. Shows the potential for misuse is definitely there. Okay, another new term. Slop squatting. This one sounds even weirder.
It does. Coined by Seth Larson, I think, and popularized by Andrew Nesbitt, it's a variation on typo squatting.
Okay, typo squatting is registering, misspelled versions of popular websites to catch typos. How does slop fit in?
It's about large language models, LLMs, basically making stuff up. Hallucinating, as some people call it.
You mean like recommending software packages that don't actually exist?
Precisely. The slop is the non-existent package name the AI suggests. Slop squatting is when a bad actor sees an AI recommend a fake package name and then quickly registers that name in a repository.
Ah, I get it. So they're hoping developers, guided by the AI, will just blindly try to install pip install super cool widget.
And instead of getting an error, because it doesn't exist, they download the malicious code the slop squatter uploaded under that name. It exploits the AI's mistake.
Wow. That's sneaky. Is this actually happening, or is it theoretical?
Oh, it seems quite real.
Right.
Researchers, I think, from UT San Antonio and others tested 16 different code-generating AI models.
And the results?
Pretty startling, actually. They found that almost 20%, 19.7% of all the software packages recommended by these AIs simply didn't exist.
Nearly 1 in 5 recommendations was for thin air. That's a
Really?
lot.
It is. And they also found that over half of those fake packages were recommended more than once by the same or different models.
So the AIs aren't necessarily learning quickly from these errors.
Doesn't seem like it.
Hmm.
And that creates this window of opportunity for attackers to register those names and potentially inject malicious code into the software supply chain. It's a different attack vector than typo-squatting, relies purely on the AI getting it wrong.
Yeah, less about user error, more about trusting the machine too much.
Yeah.
The source material mentioned a dislike for the term hallucinate for AI errors.
Yeah, some prefer terms like confabulation or just making things up.
Yeah.
Arguing hallucination anthropomorphizes the AI too much. It's an ongoing debate.
Okay, moving from AI mischief to potential international cyber conflict. Volt Typhoon, we heard about them back in December, right? Linked to hacks on U.S. telecom infrastructure.
That's right. The suspicion, widely reported, was that this group originates from China.
And now there's an update, something from the Wall Street Journal.
Yes. The WSJ reported on a supposed secret meeting back in December between U.S. and Chinese officials.
Secret meeting. Okay.
And according to the report, the Chinese officials made what was interpreted as an indirect admission.
An admission about Volt Typhoon?
Essentially, yes. Acknowledging, though apparently ambiguously, that Beijing was behind widespread cyber attacks on U.S. infrastructure ports, water systems, airports, things like that.
Wow. Did they give a reason?
The alleged motivation cited in the report was retaliation for increasing U.S. support for Taiwan.
So tying cyber attacks directly to geopolitical moves.
That seems to be the interpretation. The sources stressed the remarks were indirect, not a clear confession, but that most of the U.S. side took it as both an admission and a kind of warning.
It's always murky with these things, isn't it? Trying to read between the lines of diplomatic speak. The source even included a quote asking if people thought the meeting even happened.
Yeah, questioning the interpretation, or even the event itself. It highlights how difficult it is to get concrete confirmation on state-sponsored cyber activity.
Yeah.
But the narrative is certainly pointing towards escalating cyber tensions linked to geopolitics.
Okay, finally, this sounds potentially huge. Breaking news regarding the CVE program.
Yeah, this is pretty significant. The CVE program, Common Vulnerabilities and Exposures, is fundamental to cybersecurity. It's how we track and identify flaws.
Absolutely essential. Managed by Mitery. Right.
Correct. And the news is that MITRE's official government contract to actually run the CVE program and related things like CWE is set to expire.
Expire. When?
Wednesday, April 16th, 2025. So less than a year from now.
Wow. MITRE basically is CVE in most people's minds. They call themselves the original visionaries. It underpins the NIST NBD database security tools worldwide. What happens if that contract just stops?
That's the massive question. Our source mentions an unreleased letter from a MITRE VP, Yasri Baram.
Okay, what does it say?
It acknowledges this important potential issue, confirms the expiration date, and says there are ongoing government efforts to try and continue MITRE's role. But it also outlines the potential impact of a break-in service.
Which would be?
Things like deterioration of national vulnerability databases and advisories, problems for tool vendors, issues for incident response, impacts on critical infrastructure security. Pretty serious stuff.
So MITRE themselves seem quite concerned.
Definitely. The letter reaffirms their commitment, but highlights the risk. The big unknown is what a break actually means. Does the infrastructure shut down? Does the database freeze? No new CVEs assigned or updated?
Either scenario sounds chaotic for the industry. We rely on that steady stream of information.
Absolutely critical. It's the common language for vulnerabilities. A disruption would be, well, hugely problematic for defenders everywhere.
Let's hope those ongoing government efforts sort something out quickly. It's one of those foundational pieces you don't think about until it might disappear.
For sure. The entire security ecosystem relies on it functioning smoothly. Definitely a situation the whole industry needs to watch very, very closely over the next year.
Well, that was quite the tour. Oracle's Cloud Classic issues, AI generating scams and making up code, whispers of state-sponsored hacks, and now a potential crisis for the CVE program itself.
Never a dull moment, is there? It really shows how interconnected and fast-moving this space is. Constant vigilance, constant learning needed.
Absolutely. Hopefully this discussion gave everyone some things to think about. Thanks for tuning in to Byte-Sized Tech. If you enjoyed the episode, like, comment, share, and subscribe for more fun tech discussions.
See you next time.